Hello, and thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Today, we're exploring the global supply chain analytics market. It's a sector seeing, well, truly remarkable growth. Our mission, as always, is to sift through the sources, pull out the key insights about this market's expansion, and what's really driving it regionally. Think of it as your shortcut to getting up to speed. Our sources are saying this market is, and I quote, poised to revolutionize global logistics and business intelligence. Just so we're clear, we're talking about using big data, AI, machine learning, all that tech to optimize it, the whole supply chain from sourcing right through to delivery,
Yeah.
making things more efficient, predicting problems, making smarter choices.
And it couldn't be more critical right now, could it? I mean, businesses everywhere are dealing with more complexity, more uncertainty, so supply chain analytics, it isn't just a nice to have, it's becoming fundamental. It's really about powering smarter, faster, and definitely more resilient operations everywhere, turning all that raw data into intelligence you can actually use, which is, frankly, invaluable when things get unpredictable.
That's a great point. It's moved from wanting data to really needing it for
Yeah.
survival, for that competitive edge. Okay, so let's dive into the scale of this.
Sure.
Globally, this market kicked off at around, what, $19.5 billion in sales back in 2021? But the projections, wow, they expect it to nearly double to over $35 billion by 2025. And then soar past $118 billion by 2033.
A six-fold increase.
Exactly. In just over a decade. That
Yeah.
signals a massive global shift towards using data for decisions.
Yeah.
And that kind of growth, I mean, the compound annual growth rate, the CAGR, is over 16%. That's not just adoption. That feels like a global embrace.
It really is widespread.
Okay, so we know it's growing massively overall, but where is this actually happening? Because it's definitely not the same everywhere, right?
Sure.
Which regions are leading? Why?
That's the key question. The overall trend is strong, yeah, but the regional differences, they tell the real story.
All right, let's kick off with North America then. This region was the clear leader in 2021, brought in nearly $6.8 billion in revenue. Looking ahead, it's projected to more than triple, reaching almost $40 billion by 2033, still maintaining a really strong CAGR, almost 16%. And within North America, well, the United States is still the dominant force. It accounts for the biggest chunk of that growth.
Yeah, and what's fascinating here, looking at the figures, is just the sheer scale of the U.S. contribution. It really highlights how mature that market is. Advanced tech infrastructure, lots of big companies, and frankly, a really complex logistics landscape that just screams out for sophisticated analytics to manage it all.
Right. But it's not just the U.S. driving that North American story, is it? Canada also shows a really impressive growth potential. It's set to grow like eightfold from 2021, hitting almost $4.9 billion by 2033. That's an impressive CGR, over 18%.
That is quite high.
And even Mexico, though smaller, is progressing steadily, so it reflects a wider regional commitment.
Definitely.
Okay, moving beyond North America, what about Europe? That offers a slightly different picture, I imagine.
It does, yeah. Still very strong growth, though.
Europe's market was just under $5.8 billion in 2021. And it's also set for robust expansion, on track for over $33 billion by 2033, keeping up with a strong CGR2, about 15.7%.
And what's really noteworthy in Europe, I think, is how the focus on supply chain resilience is driving things. With recent geopolitical stuff, economic volatility, that's pushing adoption. We see huge contributions from manufacturing hubs like Germany, that's projected over $6 billion by 2033.
Wow.
And trade gateways like the UK and France are also on a strong path. But it's not just those three. Other key players, Italy, Russia, Spain, the Nordics, they're all showing steady double-digit HGRs. Mostly, between 14 and 17%. It shows a really broad commitment across the region to using analytics for efficiency and stability.
That broad commitment really makes it feel like a continental shift, yeah. Now,
Yeah.
here's where our sources say it gets really interesting. Let's turn to the Asia-Pacific region, rapidly expanding.
Ah, yes, APAC.
This market started around $4.4 billion in 2021, but it's projected for the fastest overall growth among all the regions, surging to over $29 billion by 2033. That's a CAGR over 17%.
Very strong.
China, maybe predictably, leads in sheer volume, expected to grow from about $1.3 billion to over $8.5 billion by 2033. But here's the kicker, as you said earlier. India shows the highest individual country CAGR anywhere, over 19%, growing from under $700 million to over $5.6 billion in that same time frame.
And if we connect that to the bigger picture, Asia-Pacific's surge, well, it's fueled by rapid industrialization, right? Expanding manufacturing, massive e-commerce growth, India's leading rate specifically, I think it highlights its digital transformation, the increasing complexity of its own supply chains, both domestic and international. It makes analytics indispensable. It suggests a kind of leapfrogging effect, maybe. New economies adopting advanced tech straight away.
That's fascinating, seeing how those national dynamics add up to such a powerful regional story. And you're right, it's not just China, India. Japan, South Korea, Australia, Singapore, Taiwan. They all add significant momentum, too.
Absolutely. It's a very dynamic region.
Okay, moving south. Let's look at South America. The supply chain analytics market there was valued just under $1 billion in 2021, but it's set to double by 2025 and then climb to nearly $7 billion by 2033, registering another strong TADR over 17%.
Yeah, and Brazil is definitely the powerhouse there, no surprise. But Argentina, Colombia, Peru, Chile, they're also showing impressive key AGR figures, over
Yeah,
16%. So it demonstrates a clear pattern, digital adoption, modernization taking hold across the continent, trying to optimize those often complex existing logistics networks.
makes sense. And what about the Middle East? Sounds like some exciting prospects there, too.
Absolutely. The Middle East had revenues just over 840 million in 2021. That's expected to nearly double by 2025 and projected to reach over 5.5 billion by 2033. That's a CAGR of about 17%.
Solid growth.
Very solid. Countries like Saudi Arabia, Turkey, the UAE, Egypt, Qatar, they're all seeing sharp upticks. The UAE actually shows a particularly high CGR, over 18%. A lot of this growth is tied to, well, ambitious infrastructure projects and that strategic push for economic diversification away from just oil and gas.
Right. That makes sense. Okay, lastly, let's touch on Africa. This market started smaller, just over 800 million in 2021, projected to increase to over 1.4 billion in 2025, and then reaching over 4.6 billion by 2033. So still significant growth, driven by a CGR of over 15.5%. But beyond the numbers, are there unique challenges or opportunities that analytics is addressing in, well, such a diverse continent?
That's a really important point. In Africa, analytics seems crucial for kind of leapfrogging traditional infrastructure challenges. It's enabling the rapid growth of things like e-commerce across huge distances and helping businesses navigate really complex logistics in emerging economies like Nigeria and South Africa. The sheer vastness and diversity of markets there means data-driven insights are just becoming essential for efficiency and, well, reach. It really signals steady advancements, even in nascent markets. Modernization is happening.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener, trying to navigate business and information today? We've just walked through, well, overwhelming evidence of continuous, robust growth across all major global regions for supply chain analytics. It truly reflects a fundamental global shift. Using data for logistics and business intelligence isn't niche anymore. It's becoming the new operating model.
Exactly. Our sources really emphasize that the role of supply chain analytics is more critical than ever, powering smarter, faster, more resilient operations globally. And it's not just about having the data, is it? It's about understanding it, applying that knowledge to navigate real-world challenges. That's what makes it truly valuable in this interconnected, often unpredictable world we live in.
Which leaves us with maybe a provocative thought for you to consider until next time. Given this explosive growth, this increasing reliance on data for global supply chains, how might the next major global disruption, whether it's economic, geopolitical, maybe even environmental, how might that accelerate or even reshape the demand for even more sophisticated analytics? Could it push us beyond even these current pretty staggering projections, something to chew on?
Have you ever stopped to think about how everything just arrives? Your coffee, the phone in your hand, or maybe why sometimes it just doesn't when things get stuck. It's usually invisible, this huge system,
Hmm.
but sometimes the problems are very visible indeed. Today, we're doing a deep dive into something called supply chain analytics. You can think of it as the hidden brain making sure products get where they need to go globally. We've gone through a whole bunch of sources, including bits from supply chain analytics, drivers, challenges, and future trends. Our mission to really get under the hood, figure out why everyone's adopting it, what problems they're hitting, and where it's all going next. We want to give you that shortcut to understanding it all, maybe with a few surprises along the way.
It really is staggering when you think about the scale. I mean, supply chain analytics isn't just about tracking a package. It's coordinating billions, literally billions of items across these incredibly tangled global networks. Without this kind of analytical power, well, trying to manage that, it'd be basically impossible today. It's like navigating with GPS versus just guessing.
Okay, so if it's this vital, this complex dance, what's really pushing businesses to jump into analytics so hard right now?
Well, one of the biggest things popping up everywhere in our research is, unsurprisingly, operational efficiency. And right alongside that, cutting costs. Organizations are using analytics to really sharpen up their inventory management, cut down waste, make logistics just flow better. And it's not just about saving money, though that's huge. When you make decisions based on data, customer service tends to get a whole lot better too.
And what's really throwing fuel on the fire is the absolute explosion in e-commerce and global trade. Think about it, right? You
Mhm.
click buy online. That sets off this whole chain reaction. Companies need insights like now to guess demand, find the best shipping paths, figure out that tricky last mile delivery bit, especially when you order on your phone and kind of expect it tomorrow. Analytics gives them the tools to predict, to make what we call seamless omni-channel operations actually work. So whether you buy online, pick up in the store, return it somewhere else, it all feels connected. You basically can't run a modern business without it. Yeah, and that brings us to the tech side, which is fascinating. The huge uptake of cloud computing and the Internet of Things, IoT. These aren't just buzzwords, they're the engine allowing companies to collect unbelievable amounts of real-time data. We're talking sensors on containers, tracking temperature, vibration, all feeding into cloud platforms that can crunch numbers at a scale you couldn't even dream of 10, 15 years ago. It
Yeah.
lets you turn all that raw data into actual intelligence, like predicting when a truck might break down before it
Or
happens.
optimizing roads on the fly.
Exactly. Or figuring out the absolute best place to keep your stock, this tech foundation. That's where the real competitive edge comes from now.
But, it's not all smooth sailing. Changing how global logistics works with data,
Hmm.
it hits some bumps. Despite the momentum, there are real hurdles. A big one that keeps coming up, the cost. The sheer cost of implementing and integrating this stuff. You're not just buying some software off the shelf. It means serious money for new infrastructure, fancy software, and maybe most importantly, people who actually know how to use it.
Right, the talent part. Exactly. And for smaller companies or even medium-sized ones, that upfront cost can be really intimidating, especially if they're stuck with older, legacy systems that don't play nice with the new tech. It's a major investment.
And if you dig into that a bit,
Hmm.
another maybe even more fundamental problem is data quality and standardization. It's like,
Yeah.
imagine trying to navigate using maps that are half finished,
Yeah.
or your compass is just spinning randomly.
Yeah, that's a good analogy.
That's what happens when your data is messy, incomplete, or locked away in different departments that don't talk to each other. You can have the smartest analytics tools in the world, but if the data going in is garbage, well, you know the saying.
Garbage in, garbage out.
Precisely. It just kills the whole point if you can't trust the insights you're getting. You need solid data governance first.
And then there's the people factor, which ties into this.
Yep.
There's definitely a shortage of people with the right skills. Data science, modeling, understanding the supply chain and the tech, it's a tough combination to find.
But beyond just finding talent, you often run into resistance within the organization itself. Sometimes the existing supply chain teams might feel threatened, or maybe they're just not comfortable with these new tools and processes.
Fear of the unknown or just being used to doing things a certain way.
Exactly. So it's as much about changing the culture and managing that change as it is about installing new software. You need everyone on board.
Okay, so we've seen the drivers, we've acknowledged the hurdles. Let's look ahead now. What's on the horizon? What future trends are really going to shape supply chains? I mean, the big one everyone talks about is artificial intelligence and machine learning, AI and ML. These aren't just incremental improvements, they're kind of rewriting the rules. They allow for incredibly sophisticated prediction, automating complex tasks, making decisions in real time based on massive amounts of data. Companies can now spot really subtle patterns, see risks coming way sooner, and just react faster and more accurately.
It makes the whole system more agile.
Right. It's about turning the supply chain from something reactive into something proactive almost. Alive, responsive.
And another really interesting angle for the future is integrating blockchain technology. This seems especially powerful in sectors where you absolutely need trust and transparency. Think food safety, pharmaceuticals.
Yeah, knowing where something really came from.
Precisely. Blockchain gives you that unchangeable, secure record of every step a product takes, from the raw material right to the shop shelf of your door. Combine that with analytics. Suddenly you can not only track a product, but you can mathematically verify its journey, prove it's authentic, meet regulations easily. It builds enormous trust with consumers. Imagine scanning a code on your lettuce and seeing its entire journey confirmed. That's powerful.
And bringing it back to sort of the day-to-day operations,
Yeah.
This leads to something really practical, the rise of real-time analytics and these things called control towers.
Hmm.
Basically, companies are pouring money into creating these dynamic dashboards, digital command
Like
centers.
mission control for logistics.
It's exactly like mission control, giving them a complete 360-degree view of everything that's happening right now. They can see inventory levels everywhere, track specific orders in transit, spot disruptions like a storm or a port closure the moment they start. It allows them to react super fast to changes in demand or bottlenecks or whatever the world throws at them, makes the whole chain much more resilient. So, quite a journey we've taken there. We looked at the big drivers efficiency, e-commerce,
Hmm.
navigated through those real challenges like cost and data issues and getting people on board,
The human element.
and then peered into that really exciting future with AI, blockchain, those amazing control towers. It feels pretty clear that supply chain analytics isn't just some passing fad. It's genuinely reshaping global commerce, isn't it?
Absolutely. And, as we always try to stress, understanding this stuff is key, but applying it thoughtfully, thinking critically about it, that's where the real value lies. What's undeniable is that supply chains are becoming these incredibly dynamic, data-fueled ecosystems, connecting everything from the very start of a product's life right into your hands. Maybe something to think about next time you order something online. You see that little notification pop up on its way. Just pause for a second and consider the sheer amount of complex, data-driven intelligence, the predictive power humming away behind that simple message. And then maybe wonder, how else could this level of insight, this deep understanding of movement and demand, change things? Not just shopping, but maybe other parts of our lives in ways we haven't even thought of yet.
A fascinating thought to end on. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the world of supply chain analytics. As always, stay curious and keep exploring.